Hello, 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 and welcome back to another episode of Kerbal Space Programming. Kevin here, and you know what? We are going to try live coding stuff this time, just to sort of break up the monotony, because we've been doing an awful lot of stuff with docking, a lot of stuff related to the space station. It's ended up taking up a bunch of episodes, and we still have to put a fuel depot on the bottom of it, and I was looking at starting to build crafts for this stuff, and I just realized, whew, this is getting a bit monotonous, so let's try something different. One of the things that I want to try and tackle in this episode is the fact that we are a little short of science. We don't have the larger engines, which makes it difficult to launch the higher payloads, and so I want to just send out a ship past the sphere of influence of Kerbal and have it gather as much science as we can get now, because we haven't gone into orbit around the sun yet, and at least see what we can get from that. But I want to do it in a certain way. I want to just go ahead and write the script one time. We'll set it as the boot file, and then we'll get it from the launch pad to there and have it transmit the science, and we don't have to touch anything. I want to write the script once. I want to just send it off, and we'll see how it goes. So let me log in, because I actually record these videos on a separate computer. I record these on a Windows machine because KSP seems to like that, but I like to program the stuff on the Mac because the fonts are much nicer, and I'm a nitpicky type of person like that. So I'm going to go ahead and log in real quick to that. We'll log into R2. Okay, there we go. So so I've been building this really cheesy rocket. Come on, work. Thank you. Come on. Fine. Okay, I'll have to use the other mouse. Nope. Alrighty. Okay. Be weirder. Okay, there we go. I can zoom in with these. All right. And it's not letting me. Why? Well, okay. Point is, I've been building this thing. Yeah, there's some lag, which is frustrating because it's on a home network, which is very fast. All this is it's a probodobidine octo and all of the science experiments that we have available so far, and it's inside a fairing, and it's running on the standard booster that we've done a million bajillion times. It's got a couple of batteries. Those really won't matter because we're using this Communitron 8888, and if we look over in the not the utility but the science tab. Where is it? There we go, 8888. When we right-click on that, then we can see this actually has a fairly sizable range, which is great. That's what we want. But it also requires a significant amount of charge. It requires almost 1 unit of electricity every second. So the batteries are not going to be much help. What really matters is that we've got enough solar panels that this thing can run reasonably well. The battery should give it maybe about 10 minutes of not in sunlight time. That's not going to be enough for it to survive, but that's fine. Well, if it is what it is. But that does mean that we're going to want to write a script that can boot up several times and resume from where it last left off if it loses power. We're not going to have to worry about it while we're getting into orbit, so we should be able to resume from a reasonable state. But this thing has enough power to get itself out there. We're going to leave this disabled until it gets out past the sphere of influence of Kerbal, and then it'll point back and do its stuff, right? So, yeah, and then we can look at Kerbal engineers telling us that the last stage, which is just what's inside the fairing, has 2,000 meters per second at delta V. The total thing is like 7,000 meters per second. So this is overkill, but it's fine. We're slinging it together, and we're using the parts that we already have because we've had them forever, and it's getting boring. We want to unlock new stuff. So, okay, let's jump out of here now. So let's go ahead and think about how we want to start writing this. This is going to be probably a long video because I'm not sure that I'll be able to edit much without throwing off continuity. So we've got the project here with all the episodes. Let's go ahead and make a new folder. Episode 26. All right, and we're not going to use our regular boot script, so we're going to have to name it something.boot. We'll call it science.boot.ks, and we'll open that up and bring this back out. Let's go ahead and look real quick at where's an episode where we had, there we go. Contractor 1 had a launch where it downloaded maneuver and ascent and stuff. We are using the smaller the smaller control. So I want to try and see if we can get this whole thing under 5,000 characters, because when we're talking about file size, we are talking about the actual number of characters in all of this, and we could upgrade the KOS core, but I'd rather not. I'd rather try and see if we can do this. We'll set this as a limitation for what we want to try and do. So the Ascent Profile library and the Maneuver library, let's see, do we need all of those? I can't remember. I don't know that we need the the Maneuver library has the burnout script. Right. And that is used in the Ascent Profile. Let's look. I should remember this, but I do not. Let's look at our Ascent library. Execute Ascent stat. Well, let's just do a search. MNV. No, the Ascent library does not depend on the Maneuver library, but we do use it here to just handle the auto burnout stuff. Right, so this is the Ascent Profile is separate? Oh man, this is all stuff that I should remember. So yeah, you're seeing kind of what my process is when we start to, when I start to try and pick out what we're going to do for an episode. So this is, yes, going to be long and perhaps boring, but perhaps interesting for some of you that are more interested in, like, well, how do you actually start writing this stuff rather than seeing kind of the result of what we've been doing. Okay, so we've got all this blah 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 blah. Next thrust. Oh yeah, okay. So the maneuver stuff is already in here, in line. That's dumb. Okay, I shouldn't have done that. Well, okay. Whatever. Let's go into Science Boot. Okay, so let's think about what we want to do. We want to first we want to ascend and circularize. And actually, no, we don't even want to circularize. We want to continue throttling until, heck, let's just say until we're out of fuel. Actually, I wonder, could we do this without even bothering with the gravity turn? I mean, it's not efficient, but that's not, I don't think we're going to lose too much by doing, I think we're not even going to, we don't even need the Ascent library. That saves us a whole bunch of stuff, right? So basically, we just want to launch up and then wait until we're not in Kerbin's SOI. And then we want to turn on the antenna. And then we probably want to make sure that we have connection. And then, or we won't even say check, we'll just wait until connection. Well, no. Let's say loop, and we'll just indent this. We're just kind of pseudo-coding the steps that we want to take. Turn on antenna, check if connection, and then continue if, or well, break if connection. Otherwise, turn off antenna. Right, so if the thing can't get in touch with us, then there's no reason to run all the science experiments and try and transmit it because we won't be able to receive it, so that would be pointless. So we've got that, that's great. And then once we've got that done, then we know we have a connection and the antenna is on. We want to transmit the stuff right away so that we don't run out of battery. So I would say get all science parts, do science, and transmit science. All right. Now the thing though is that we want to make sure that this thing is able to go ahead and close this out because yeah, we're not gonna. I don't think we're gonna use any of these libraries. Let me go ahead and full screen this just to make it a little cleaner. All right. Yeah. So the problem is that we want to make sure since this isn't going to use libraries and it's not. It's very possible, if not likely, that it may lose power at some point during this mission. If it ends up in a shadow for too long, we want to make sure that we're safe. So let's go ahead and say we're going to use run modes, which is something that's used in the KOS tutorial. So we're going to go, by the way, I've been doing this whole capitalization thing with you kind of going all caps for things that are built into KOS, trying to use camel case for variables. And I think I'm going to stop doing that just because KSLib generally just downcases everything, and I'm jumping back and forth. I initially kind of settled on that pattern to try and illustrate the stuff that came with KOS and the stuff that was user-generated, but the stuff that the KOS has come along so far that we're able to write these functions that are pretty much, there's not a meaningful distinction between stuff that we get natively and stuff that we write ourselves. So I think I'm going to kind of stop doing that and just rely on downcasing as the standard format for stuff. So let's go ahead and say set run mode to 0, right? Okay, good. And then we'll go ahead and set this up as a series of run modes. So we'll say until 0, wow. We'll say if run mode equals 0, blah. And we'll run all of our steps inside things like this. We'll say if run mode equals 1. You know, and so then in here we could say do stuff and then set run mode to 1. But then we could conditionally decide maybe we don't want to reset it. And then this will just kind of loop forever, which is great. That's what we want. Okay, so, but we want to make sure that we can recover this run mode. So what we want to do is first say we're going to check to see if we have a file. So we need to save out our run mode at various points. So actually I'm going to write a function set run mode, and it's going to take parameter n, which is the run mode, and it's going to just set run mode to n, which will update this global variable, and then we'll also log, let's see, log nothing, an empty string. Why am I capitalizing? Log empty string to run mode.ks, which will be on the local drive, and then we'll delete run mode.ks. Now the reason for doing this is we're just writing out an empty string to the file. That way we know that the file will exist before we try and delete it. If you try and delete a file that doesn't exist, then it's a problem. So if we log out an empty string, then we're creating a file that's empty if it doesn't already exist, or we're appending nothing if it does. So this is just a way to ensure that this delete is not going to crash. So we're going to log that. Now it's deleted. Now we're going to log out the real stuff. Log set run mode to plus n and period. So we're just creating a string of code that sets our run mode to run mode.ks. Good, okay. So what this will do is it'll set our global run mode, but it will also write out a file that if we run it, will also set our run mode. Now this means that up here, we can set run mode to 1, but we can also say, I wonder if you can run an empty file. I'm not sure. We could, let's test this. I'm going to open up another tab. Well, okay, no. Yeah, let's see. Let me just history rep telnet. Oh, come on. Oh, yeah. Yeah, because that's in a different thing. Telnet. Right, okay. Yes, and because I always forget where telnet is. Oh, but no, okay, yeah, we can't telnet into anything that's running right now because there's nothing running on the launchpad right now. Fine, okay, let's remote in and just check if we can do that. Let's launch up. We'll just throw the craft on the launchpad and then just see if we can run a command on it. So we'll save and then launch. Yeah. Come on. Time warp 1. All right, KOS, go here. It's running the default boot script because it does that. Let's go ahead and log nothing to test.ks and then run test.ks and see if it, oh good, okay, so it's no error. So if we try and run an empty program, that's fine, but if we say log set run mode to 5 to test.ks, all right, yeah. And now we run test.ks, whoa, ks, and now we say print run mode, it gives us 5. Okay, perfect, that's exactly what we want. Thank you for playing, other machine, come on, go away, bye. Okay, let's get back into our file. Episode 26. Science boot. Okay. Okay, so now we can also, so yeah, we can use that same trick. We'll just say log empty to runmode.ks, and then we'll say run runmode.ks. So now we're guaranteed that it exists, and if it exists, then it will, then we'll just be adding an empty string to it, which is fine. It's not going to break anything. If it doesn't exist, then we're just going to end up running an empty file. So we set our run mode to 0, and then we'll run this. If the file didn't already exist, it's not going to overwrite our run mode, but if it did already exist, then it will overwrite our run mode. Perfect. So that means every time it reboots, it's going to get the run mode that we last set it to with this set run mode function. Okay. Good. So let's annotate our steps. We'll grab our comments. We'll say launch stuff, and yeah, we'll just space this stuff out. So we've got launch, and then wait until out of SOI, sphere of influence, and then we'll set another run mode for wait for connection, or yeah, waiting for connection, and then doing science. Those are the 4 run modes. This loop stuff all kind of goes in that one section. So okay, we'll have 4 run modes. Just copy and paste this body and then change the numbers. 2, 3. Good. Okay, so waiting for connection, doing science. Okay, so our launch is going to be simple, because we're not even going to bother turning over. We're just going to go lock steering. I shouldn't capitalize anymore. Old habits. Steering to up. Lock throttle to 0. And we have, how many stages do we have on that thing? 2, 3. Oh, let me think. We have the one where it drops away the side boosters, then we have, and it drops the fairings at the same time, and then there's the other one where it drops away the main stage. And that's it, I want to say? Yeah, I'm pretty sure. So let's go ahead and say, let's see, how do we do this in our ascent library? Wait, not like throttle to 0. Well, stage. Okay, so this is getting our initial launch going, and then basically we want to just make sure we stage, and I'll just mark that as to do, and then instead of set run mode, we'll call our function set run mode 1. Good. Perfect. Right. Now we are assuming that basically this isn't going to crash in the middle of any of these blocks, or that if it does crash in the middle of these blocks, that the script is able to recover. Like, it'd be a problem if we were waiting for staging and then it lost power and rebooted, but we're just going to assume that that's not going to be an issue because we're getting power from the engines at that point. Let's see. And that's all that there is to this stage, right? Yeah, that's all. Yeah. All right. So this is just waiting for getting out of the SOI. And like, I don't remember how we do that. How do we do that? We did stuff with that with Minimus, didn't we? Let's look. Minimus Rescue. Did we? No, I think we did that with just autopilot-y stuff. Oh, there we go. Mustachio transfer. That's something we did. Remember the ish function? That was fun. Okay. Let's enabling. Oh, come on. You totally had this. Where to throttle 3.5. That wasn't it. Now, why is this? We totally had something for this. Launch landing. No, it wasn't landing. Suicide. No. Do we have it in here? We totally had something that mints that transfer. Hang on, I think I know what this was. It was ship body, wasn't it? Let's do a search across all of this. ACK ship body. Local G ship body. Oh, there we go. See, in episode 16, wait until ship body equals moon. Okay, so Mustachio land. It was in landing? Oh, come on. Weak sauce, Kevin. Mustachio landing. That shouldn't be in a landing script. You shouldn't ever be above 2 different spheres of influence in. Fine. Okay. That's fine. Wait until ship body equals... Actually, you know what? I'm just thinking now. I'm just going to write another to-do. Because I think it's possible that some of the science experiments are... we haven't necessarily run because they're relatively new. We haven't necessarily run them at the various altitudes. So let's go just say here, run repeatable experiments at altitudes. If there's space. If space. All right, yeah, if space, that's fine. Because we will be able to check that out. So we want to say wait until ship body equals, and I'm not sure if the body is Kerbal or if it's sun, because I know it's different in different places. Let's see. Body. Let's search moon and just see where that... Oh, there we go. Okay, in body. Predefined ones. See, it's sun. There we go. Okay. So we'll use that. I'm capitalizing again. Wait until ship body equals sun. Perfect. And that's it. That's all that has to do. That's all that there is for this stage, or this run mode. And we'll say set run mode to 2. Yeah, man, that feels like it should be more complicated, but all right. Actually, you know what we should... Yeah, let's add a to-do as well. Run repeatable experiments, maybe. Well, no, that'll be part of this. Never mind. Okay. Waiting for connection. Well, no. Yeah, no, it'll still... Yeah, we'll still keep it as part of this. I was just thinking if we have the orbit around Kerbal versus space around Kerbal, the high space and low space, maybe that's a thing. All right, waiting for connection. We've got to remember how to... do this. Okay, so this is part of our boot script because we use this all the time for various delays and stuff. Delay. All right, D22. Add-ons RT delay. Yeah. That's not what I want. Get a file. Delay. Come on. One of these functions has it. There we go. Add-ons RT has connection. But we need to... It won't have a connection if the antenna is turned off. So basically, we'll have to go antenna on, check connection, antenna off. Well, no, this will be an if. So we'll go if has connection. Well, we'll just go if false for now and just say has connection as a comment. So we're just skeletoning all this, and then we can go in and actually add the stuff later. Else antenna off. Okay, if this, then we'll go set run mode to 3. Because now we have the connection, means we can do all the science. And yeah, perfect. Okay, so let's see now. Got this. Well, we can at least start plugging in some of this. So we can plug in this condition. So we can say add-ons. Wow. RT has connection. Ship. Right? Yeah, because that's the syntax that we're using in that boot script. And set run mode, and I'm just gonna do that because you can actually do that, which is nice. Yeah, we don't need to check connection. Connection is already in that if statement. We will need to actually write the antenna on and off, and then the doing science is going to be. Let's cheat a little bit. So in a recent version of KOS, there's the module, the science experiment module, which just abstracts all of the different modules, which makes it a lot easier. It means we can automatically transmit as well. If you used the regular module before, it would pop up the dialog and you'd have to click it. You don't have to do that anymore. And we also encountered some bugs occasionally when we tried doing stuff with that in previous episodes. So I've not encountered issues with this. Let's go ahead and just copy the snippet because this makes things really easy. And then we'll just modify it for our purposes. Right, okay. And fix the indentation there. So let's see what this is doing. So it's setting P to ship parts named Go experiment, setting M to the part module science experiment, and then saying M deploy, which is do the experiment, then wait until it has data, and then transmit it. That's exactly what we wanted to do. That's brilliant. Actually, you know what? Now that I'm thinking about this, we should probably actually... I'm not sure about this antenna-ing. Well, I wonder if maybe we should turn the antenna off regardless. Yeah, I think we should turn the antenna off regardless, just in case there's ever some sort of interruption between run mode 2 and 3. Because, yeah, and then we'll just make sure that we turn on antenna before transmitting. Yeah. And I think what I want to do... Yeah, so we'll wrap it like that. Now the problem is that we're not just getting the ship part named this. We want to get all parts that have that module. So I'm going to go ahead and say for P in ship parts. So this is going to get, so P is going to be all of the parts. We're looping over every single part. I'm going to say if P has module, module science experiment, then we want to do stuff. And because there's no else here, and because there's nothing outside of this, I'm actually going to, let's make this one line. Because remember, we're trying to mitigate the number of characters that we have to use. Wow, do stuff. All right, wonderful. Okay, so then this would be basically P get module science experiment. And that's a long string. We could probably just throw that in a variable called like M or something, and then only use it once in our script. If we have to, then we can do that. And yeah, we can worry about that later. Actually, yeah, let's set this, because we're going to use this to, yeah, we're going to do multiple things with it. So we'd then say M deploy, wait until M has data, and then, what was it, M.transmit, or M:transmit. Right, okay. So turn on the antenna. Yeah, and since we've got multiple places where we're turning on and off the antenna, we'll want to make a function so that we don't paste it in line multiple times. Okay, so for P and ship parts, if it has the module, yes. This is probably not the nicest place to use this sort of syntax, but all of these, basically any place where you could use a block, so like an if you've got a single statement, then you're fine. The block, the braces are really just so that you can have, print 5, print 6, but you can also do, if, something, whatever. But you can also leave the braces off, and you could, I believe, theoretically go, if, or, if foo, if bar, if baz, print 5. And that's effectively the same as putting all the curly braces around here, and what, here, and there. But don't ever do that, because that's hard to read. This one I think is probably less of an issue, because basically what we're doing here is we're looping over all of the ship parts, but with a particular filter. And that's it's almost like guard statements in certain languages, where you say, for n in 1 to 5, if n mod 2 is 0, or something like that. And then it'd just be, do this for everything in this range, but only the even ones. So I'm not too upset about doing that there. Okay. Turn off antenna. And those are all the steps, except there's one more thing. Now I'm thinking about it, because if we're going to lose battery power, we are probably really going to lose battery power when we're trying to transmit stuff. Now that's not an issue. I mean, it's an issue if we can never transmit, but we probably want an additional run mode. And that is just a run mode that will, let's see, verify science. That basically, we won't ever get out of this run mode until blarg. Yeah, we won't ever leave this run mode until we know that all of the parts that have science have transmitted them, right? So this initial pass is going to be optimistic. It's going to go ahead, yeah, we'll just do one after the other and start transmitting them all. If we run out of battery power when we're doing that, then fine, and it'll reboot. And I guess that'll be in run mode 3, and it'll start doing that again, won't it? That's maybe bad. Actually, what happens if we call deploy on a... let's make a note here. Fix me. Don't rerun. Unusable. Actually, no. We should change this to do, loop get the data. And then we should have a separate loop. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. So this is just doing the science, right? Well, okay, so we'll change this loop. This will be check for any data. So yeah, then we don't even need the antenna in here. This is check for any data and antenna on, transmit, antenna off. And because this is in a loop, we could just say get the first part. Actually, we could do that for here too, couldn't we? Well, no, we don't want to do that in here. No, because that gets messy, because then we've got to keep track of which one we were on, because they will always have that module. So, okay, blah, 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 talking. We're still going to keep this wait until it has data, but we're going to take out the transmit. And good. Okay. That should be good, and then this is going to do that. Okay, so in this loop, now because it's going to stay in this run mode until we... Well, no, wait, Kevin, jeez. What is your damage? Okay, set run mode to 4. After we've looped through all of them. Right, and then if it interrupts at some point in here, it won't interrupt at some point in there. That's over-optimization. Okay, run mode 4. Check for any data. So we'll go the same loop. I don't like when I copy and paste stuff. That means that I could be doing it in a better way with functions, but okay. Okay, so this is getting parts that have... I could make this a one line, because we're going to have another if in here. We're just going to say if... well, no, we're going to... Yeah, let's just do the same thing, because we're going to check multiple things. I'm going to say if m has data... Oh, no, we're not even... No. We're not going to do it like this. Are we going to do that? Yeah, no, this is fine. Okay, if m has data, then m transmit. Good. Well, no, we're going to make this a... Yeah. There. We've still got to have the antenna on. Yeah. Yeah, that's not bad. It's not too bad. Okay. All right, so we've got this, and yeah, now once this is actually, nope, I don't like this. I'm going to change the way that this is working, because I want to be able to verify definitively that there are no... Yeah, I want to be able to know that there are no parts that have data. So, I'm going to say local local data is list. I'm going to create an empty list. I'm going to go this for P and that, and then... And these booleans do short circuits, so I could say and P get module blah has data blah. But that ends up getting really long and ugly and hard to read, so we'll end up with 2 nested if statements, even though it is a little bit slower. Yeah, okay, so we'll say if P get module science experiment has data, then what are we doing? What then? Then data add P So then data is just going to, well, we shouldn't call this data. We should call this like data parts. There we go, data parts. That's also probably a stupid name. If we were being rigid, we'd probably come up with a nicer name for that. Okay, so this is just getting us the loop of the parts that have data that is not transmitted, right? Now, we actually want to start transmitting all of those. So we'd say, for P in data parts, P get module science experiment transmit. Good. But we'll have, yeah, and so if this list is empty, then we're fine. But I also want to say here, yeah, we don't know, no, we'll put it down here just to make things clean. If data parts, is it length or size? I think it's size, but let's double check. List. Yay, KOS docs. Not list command, list structure. It is length. I was totally wrong. Length equals 0. Then set run mode to 5. We don't have a run mode for 5. That's fine. That's totally cool. Do we want to make this thing like remotely? Will it? Because basically, if we do it like this, yeah, then there's no way to ever control it ever again. At least under the constraints that we've given it. We could, I suppose, we could add a maybe run mode 5 is a KSC new instructions check. But I don't know if we're going to have the space for that. In fact, let's see. So we haven't even done the turning the antennas on and off, and we haven't done this staging stuff yet. Let's see how many characters we're at, because we're trying to keep it under 5,000. I'm going to use the word count tool. Characters of this file. Oh, look at that. Nice, nice, nice. We're at like 1359. Perfect. This totally fits. Not using too many characters. We are fine. We should be completely fine. Let's grab the actual... Let's write our function for antenna on. We'll just put the stub here and function antenna. Well, antenna off. And what is this going to be? We have stuff like this before. Come on, what was it? Not the bus. Well, was it the bus? We did it with Keosat, I think, but not that version of Keosat. Keosat finalize? Ship parts name. Oh yeah, there we go. Yeah. Oh shoot, that's right. We've got to even target stuff. All right. So it's something like that. Do event activate set field. Great. Come on. And I want to make sure that this stuff is consistent. Ship parts titled. It's not Reflectron, it is, oh, what is it? Come on. Come on, Kevin. Remember things. Parts. Dish antennas. Oh, it's GTS, Reflectron, Communitron 8888. Let's copy that. And put it in here. Communitron 8888, and there's only going to be one. We're going to get the first one in that list of ship parts titled that. We'll go get module RT antenna, and do event activate. Oops, set field target Kerbal. Let's double check the docs for KOS. There is actually some info on the add-ons for remote tech. Let's take a look real quick. Target mission control. Let's see. Wait, did I say KOS? I didn't mean KOS. What am I talking about? Oh, come on. Target. Where's the... Should do a body, a vessel, or a string containing the name of a body or vessel. Right, I think we want to point it at... We want to point it at Kerbal. And then, well, let's look real quick. What is the angle? Yeah, this angle is pretty tiny. This angle is very tiny. Yeah, okay. Maybe we just want to point this at mission control. I don't want to point it. I don't want to restrict it to just being mission control, but I don't see any good alternatives. So, okay. So, yeah, mission control it is. Right. Mission control. And then I'm just going to say wait 1, just for safety reasons, just because I don't want to try and transmit stuff immediately after. Now we do have, let's see, modules. We can deactivate. Do we have a deactivate? It doesn't show me a dock for deactivate. I'm pretty sure it's deactivate. The question is, should I rely on that or should I check? I don't know. I think we should just, yeah, let's just assume it's deactivate. Then it'll be fun to realize that things don't work after sending this thing out on its long, like 8-day mission on its own. That'll be great. Antenna on, antenna off. Okay, good. So now we can just go ahead and pop these in where they're supposed to be. Antenna on. We'll do that the right way. Antenna off. Right. And because, yeah, oh, so this is why, yeah, because when I go antenna on, I don't want to immediately check and see if it has a connection, just because I don't know if the remote tech add-on is going to know within the same physics tick as when we turn the thing on, if that's the case. So if we wait a second, then we know that we're fine. Doing science, and then, oh, did I actually take this out of here? What was I thinking? Come on, Kevin. Antenna on, and antenna off. Good. Good job, Kevin. All right. Maybe run mode is okay. See new structure stack. Yeah, maybe. Okay. What else are we doing? What else? This is why it's good to have all these comments, is that you jump around a lot. If something is like, I don't know how to do it, it's nice to be able to continue coding, even if you're like, well, here's a part that I don't remember the exact syntax for. That's fine. I'll just keep going and I'll jump back and start throwing things in. But when you do that, then you forget where you were and things are a nightmare. Speaking of stepping away for a minute, I am going to step away for a minute, and then I will be, oh wait, Communotron? Is that titled? I copied and pasted it. It's fine. It's totally going to be fine. Right. Okay. Make sure we stage for repeatable experiments. No. Okay. Yes. Speaking of taking a break, I'm going to take a quick break. You don't have to, because I'm just going to dissolve transition to me coming back and continuing on with this. So yes. Alrighty, I am back, and we need to, I did check our craft. We need to stage twice after launch. Right, good, okay. Okay, so, let's see here. Make sure we stage twice after launch. So we've got the stage, that's good. Lock throttle up to 1. Yeah, we're just going to continue to throttle at 1 the whole time. That's good. And how is it that we were checking? Let's just open up our maneuver library. Yeah, see, that's the thing, is a lot of this is just a matter of stealing, certainly for the launches, it's just a matter of stealing stuff that we've already done. Oh, this is going to be, well, that's fine. Set last thrust to max thrust, and wait 1, let's see. Yes, and then if last thrust minus max thrust is greater than 10, so if there's a difference, then stage. We could throttle down as well. We probably should throttle down just because of those stupid fairings. Yeah, I'm not even going to bother putting this in a loop for the 2 times. We'll just copy and paste it. We'll go ahead and say lock throttle to 0. Wait 1, lock throttle to 1, good, Last thrust minus max, what? What? Yes, so if our thrust decreases by more than 10, then it detects that, right? Yes, we don't need the wait one there. What am I doing? Wait. If last thrust. Wait until last thrust minus max thrust is greater than 10. Yeah, we don't need an if there. And we're just going to do that whole lock stuff. Good. Okay. What am I doing? There. Okay. First stage. Now the problem is this is going to make it a little tricky to do the science, but second stage. Yep. Okay. I'm not going to worry too much about that. Last thrust to max thrust. Do the same thing there. Lock down to, there we go. Second stage, good. Close you up. So we got there. That to do is done. First stage, Since we're not going to stage right away, I'm just going to go ahead and say let's do that first science step there, because we know we don't need. That's not going to interrupt our stuff. And there is a short range antenna on the craft as well, which will give us connection to be able to transmit stuff at that point. Second stage. Okay, so should we just do a? Heck, let's just. Well, okay. Let's just write a function. We'll say repeatable science. There, right? Perfect. Repeatable science again. Also perfect. Second stage, good, and then repeatable science. I don't know if I want to worry about this. Let's see. I got to remember. Okay, so let's comment what we're doing here. So this is hopefully upper atmosphere, and this is low atmosphere or flying. And then we want science from orbit. And then we want high above science. Get rid of that, put that here. Now we need to do altitude check. And to do altitude check there. These I'm not going to necessarily worry about, I don't think. Yeah, I'm not going to worry about them because if we try and wait for the right point, well, nah. Let's go ahead. We'll do it. We'll put one after here too. It'll probably be redundant, but we'll just have to make sure, check for connection. So yeah, one of these two should get us the upper atmosphere science. Yeah, the problem is we just don't know exactly how high up we're going to be when these stages happen. We could write this in a more flexible, fancy way, but we're just trying to keep this small and clean. So yeah, now we've got to write that function. Repeatable science. And let's see. Let's jump down to the bottom here where we actually do our science so we can steal stuff from there. Except we're not going to do it like, let's just copy this whole thing, right? Okay, good. Now let's tidy this up. So get module science experiment has data. Except we're going to do multiple checks because we also, no. That's not right. That's not right. I'm wrong. Kevin is wrong. Totally wrong. Yeah, because we've got this whole part where we actually get the science. Right, okay. Let's paste that up there too. Just copying and pasting stuff all over the place. So for everything, if it has the part, module science experiment, get the module, and deploy, wait until it has data, and then we'll just transmit it right away. Transmit. We're not going to worry about turning on the antenna. Good. Good, okay. So that will do it, but we don't want to do it for everything because we've got some of the experiments which are not repeatable, but I believe we get something from the module that tells us that from the, let's see, science module. Science experiment module, right. Rerunnable. This can be, and we can get that, and it'll be true or false. Good. So, got the module, and we can say if m rerunnable, then do all that. Otherwise, you know, we don't want to run it because it's not repeatable science. It is regular science. Right, so this should be fine. Low atmosphere, probably. First stage, probably. Hopefully upper atmosphere. We should still be in range at that point. Actually, let's go ahead and do a quick check. Should we do a quick check? Should we put it up here? Yeah, I think we do need to put it up here. Where was that thing where we had the has connection? There we go. Just copy that. Basically, we're just going to set this thing up to bail. Man, it's jumping around. Okay. Yeah. If that... Good. So that it'll only run this stuff if this is true. So if it doesn't have a connection, then it's just going to do nothing. Okay. Because, yeah, we could also, like, say, if you don't have a connection, then open up the antenna. But the problem is that if we try and do that and we discover that it doesn't have a connection at some point where it's dangerous to open things up, then I'd just rather not get the science. We'll just lose that. Okay. So, what are we doing? Wait until ship altitude is greater than... Is it ship altitude, or do I want to do ship out rate? Or what am I doing in the ascent? Alt. Really? I'm not... Oh. Okay, it's just altitude, not even ship altitude. Well, I mean, I think, yeah, it's just because it's a nice keyword. It's greater than, let's say, 72,000. And then we'll do repeatable science. Actually, if we're up here, then we could turn on the antenna. So let's copy that add-on check real quick. If it has connection, great. Otherwise, antenna on, and then antenna off. And we'll do the same thing for the high above science. Now the problem is that I don't know what that stage is, what that altitude is. What is the, let's see if we can find that out. Kerbal science, high above, high orbit, there we go, high orbit, in space high. Science biomes, maybe? No, not biomed. Kerbal science biomedical, wonderful. Okay, biomes, great. Kerbal, come on, where's, come on. Oh, right, Kerbin, not Kerbal. Yeah, not those. I care about the, well, maybe it's on the planet. Let me see. Let's look this up. Altitude pressure, blah, blah, blah. It's frames. Science, maybe? Oh man, those sirens. I apologize for the sirens. Flying low, in space high, in space low. What? Are you going to give me a value for those? Oh, there we go. Oh, perfect. Okay. Kerbin, 250 kilometers. Wonderful. Oh, there we go. Okay, so we've got these. Low is 7 border limit. Okay, yeah, we're not going to worry about trying to modify for those. 250 kilometers. Okay, so that's what we want to do. Let's just make it 250,000. Let's make it 260,000 just to be safe. So then if it has a connection, then it'll try to do repeatable science right away. Otherwise, it'll turn on the antenna to do the repeatable science. Now, we are doing a lot of copying and pasting if we were going to really try and clean this up. And it would be smaller if we basically just wrote a function that did this and then just passed in this as a parameter. But I think we're probably fine and, you know, hacky. Okay, so the last thing that we have is this maybe run mode 5. I'm just going to go ahead and do that. So we're going to say if run mode equals 5, antenna on, switch to 0, the archive volume, and then we're going to log empty to deep space 1.update.ks, and then we'll run deep space 1.update.ks, switch to 1, and turn the antenna off. So now this is not anywhere near as complex or useful as the stuff that we've got in our boot script, but because it's only going to run once. So if it goes there, then that's fine, but it's never going to change the run mode. So basically, if we ever switch away from the craft and then switch back to it, then it'll do this again. So yeah, it just turns on the antenna. It's going to log empty. So if the file doesn't exist on the archive volume, then that's fine. It'll run effectively nothing, and it'll switch back and then turn the antenna off. That's what we want. And is there anything else? I think we're pretty much good. Oh, you know what? There's one more thing that I'd like to do. Yeah, so we've already got a bunch of functions. We're not being too bad. Let's go ahead and print out. Let's go ahead and say here, print booting, and we'll say print run mode, starting run mode plus run mode. Good. And then in here, I'm going to say run mode set to plus n. So we're printing it out. And is that it? Let's how many characters are we at? How are we doing? 3125. All right, so we're well within the margin. I'm going to go ahead and steal. Oh, I didn't put it. Really? You kidding me? Come on, Kevin. I'm going to steal, yeah, the comment header, this, and then we'll just change this to, let's see, deep space 1 boot script. There we go. Okay, now it's just a matter of kind of quickly looking through this and seeing if we notice anything stupid before we go onto Launchpad and just say, go for it. All right, so set run mode to 0, log empty to run mode.ks, and then run it. That's good. So that will overwrite our run mode if the file exists. And otherwise, we'll leave it alone. It's going to print that it's booting, and it's going to list its starting run mode. We've got a function set run mode that takes one parameter, and it's going to set the global run mode that's currently running to that. It's going to print out that it's changed. Then it's going to log and delete run mode.ks if it already exists, and then it's going to log out set run mode to that number to the file. Great. So then if it reboots, we get that. Antenna on is going to get a part titled Communitron 8888. It's going to take the first one it finds. There's only one, so that's what we want. It's going to get the module RT antenna. It's going to activate it. It's going to set the field target to mission control, and then it's going to wait a second. Yep, that's right. Now, the one thing to keep in mind is that we don't have, mission control does not have an antenna that will reach out particularly far, so we're going to have to, at some point, throw something else on the launch pad that'll just have docking clamps, and we'll also have an antenna. But since it'll be pointed at mission control, that means that it should be able to reach that craft. We'll have to eventually build up more of a long-distance satellite network around Kerbal, but we'll worry about that when we get to it. Probably also means that once we start playing with craft that are outside of Kerbal, that we'll need to actually have it cycle through these targets and try out, various craft and see if it can find something rather than just point in one particular direction. But okay, antenna off. Oh, what am I doing? I don't need to set the field there. Okay, so we're getting it. We're getting the module, and we're turning it off. Deactivate, and we're waiting a second. Good. Repeatable science. If we have a connection, otherwise nothing for every part. If it has the module science experiment, get the module. And if it is rerunnable, then deploy it, wait until it has data, and transmit it. Perfect. That's what we want. So that should be like the temperature and pressure and all that stuff. Oh, actually, now I'm wondering, what happens if there's an experiment that we can't run like in a vacuum? No longer operable, can be run multiple times, deployed. Do we have a way to check that? Inoperable? Let's dump, transmit, reset, deploy. Deploy, is it deployed? let's do a check for inoperable while we're doing that. And not inoperable. And let's find the other places where we're doing deploy. We're doing deploy here. If not If not inoperable. Yeah, I'm just nervous that one of the, some of these may only run in the atmosphere or whatever, and then I don't want to discover that it crashes. But we should be able to keep an eye on that. If not inoperable, good. Where's the other? Okay, more deploy. No, is that the only deploy that we've got? Yeah, those are the only deploys. Perfect. Right, because then we're only transmitting. Yeah, good. Okay. Back to our check. So, if it is rerunnable and not inoperable, then deploy it. Wait until it has data transmitted. Good. Until 0, so forever, because 0 is false and will never be true. So until that, okay. If run mode is equal to 0, lock steering to up, lock throttle to 1 stage. Let's wait a second just to make sure that the throttle can get all the way up there before we stage and we don't crash. Do the let's wait 5 seconds before we do the science. Set the last thrust to max thrust. Wait until the last thrust is the difference is greater than 10. Lock the throttle to 0. Wait a second, stage. Lock the throttle back. Hopefully in the upper atmosphere. So this is right after we throttled up again. That's great. Set the last thrust to max thrust. Let's see. Yes. Wait until last thrust. Yep. So same. Repeatable science. Oh, wait, check for connection. What? Check for connection? Oh, no. That's already part of, yeah. So, it's probably redundant. Good, okay. Orbital science, now we're waiting till the altitude is 72,000. We may already be there before we stage, but so these may run back to back. That's fine. If it transmits, since these are repeatable experiments, we don't particularly care if it transmits and doesn't have to. Oh! We need to deploy the solar panels. Yeah. That would have been sad. I mean, there are a couple of non-deploying solar panels on there, but that would have been not fun. Okay. If it has a connection, then do the repeatable science. Otherwise, turn the antenna on, do the repeatable science, turn the antenna off. Good. And that's already waiting a second, so this should be fine. High above science, we're waiting until our altitude is very high. Doing all that. Set run mode to 1. Okay, same. Good. Run mode 1. So this does set run mode to 1, so it does escape from there. Now, of course, if this does interrupt at any point during the stage and reboot, then we're in trouble because it'll do its staging and stuff. But we're assuming that since we're firing the engines for the majority of this, we're going to be fine. Ooh. Actually, yeah, I feel like we should move these. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and move these so that if it breaks at some point, it's not going to stage. We'll put these here. Yeah, there we go. So that way, yeah, if for whatever reason it reboots after it has. Yeah, if it reboots at some point after it's gotten out of all of this, after it's done its staging, then that's fine. It'll still end up in run mode 1, and it'll just be waiting for the atmosphere. It won't try and stage and lock the steering and all that stuff again. Oh, yeah, lock steering to up is a little bit iffy. Now that I'm thinking about it, let's lock it to heading. What are we doing in our ascent script? Lock steering. Come on, what did we do? Nah, it should be fine, shouldn't it? Right, it should be fine. We're gonna assume that it's fine. All right, we're moving on. Okay, so run mode 1, which we get to, we know that we get out of it from run mode 0. Run mode 1 is gonna wait till the altitude, it's gonna do that, it's gonna do this, then it's gonna wait until the ship's body is the sun. And I feel like we should wait a few more seconds again, just in case. So this is after we leave the sphere of influence of Kerbal. Of course, it's entirely possible that we're going to crash into the moon or min-miss when this happens. I don't know. We shall see. If run mode equals, then it's going to set the run mode to 2. Good. Run mode 2 is just turning on the antenna, checking if we have a connection, and then turning off the antenna. Now, this is going to set the run mode, but it's not going to immediately break out of the loop, which is great. So it'll still run this line, even if it does have a connection, which is what we want. Yeah, so this'll pull every 2 seconds. I don't know if that's a good thing. It's fine. It's probably fine. Well, we'll see. Okay. Run mode 3, doing the science. For every part, if the part has the module science experiment, grab that module, and if it is not inoperable, deploy it and wait until it has data. Then once that's done, go to 4. So if this interrupts at some point, then yeah, that should still work. So if it breaks and then starts rerunning this again, that'll be fine too. It sets the run mode to 4. Good. Run mode 4, local data parts is the list. For every part where there's a module, if it has data, add it to our data parts. Then for every part in the data parts, turn on the antenna, transmit the data, turn off the antenna. If the data part's length is 0, then we know we can move on to the next run mode. Great. The next run mode is really dumb, but it gives us a way to repurpose this if we ever choose to. If run mode equals 5, turn on the antenna, switch to switch to the archive volume rather, log an empty file or an empty string to an update file name, and then try and run it, and then switch back and turn off the antenna. Oh yeah, no, this will continue to run indefinitely because it's inside this loop. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's good, actually. Yeah, perfect. Okay. So we've written this entire thing, like this entire mission, without testing any of the steps, which is great. We've referred to the docs of some of this stuff. It is possible that there are typos. I don't know, but we should be under the character limit, right? 3288. So I think we're probably fine. Maybe. Let's see. Do I have the drive mounted? I don't. All right. I need to connect up to that. Go connect to server. All right, connected to the server. Now I'm just going to go ahead and copy this file over. Copy episodes EO26 science.boot.ks to volumes Kerbal space program ships script. There we go. It should be called science boot now. Let's remote desktop in. And of course, when we actually throw this thing on the launchpad, I will switch over and start recording on the Windows machine, so we get the nice footage without this "your desktop is currently shared" stuff. Oh, it's on the launchpad. Haha, I'm good at things. Refer to vehicle assembly. Yeah, because we were doing that testing before. Deep Space One is the name. Good. Okay. And the clicking is being weird. Not the Communitron. Nope, not the Communitron. Zoom in, but in a different direction. Yeah, it's not liking my mouse over here. Not the shell. There we go. Scriptable control system. I'll go through and let's see. Boot camp. All right. I think I'm going to actually have to. I may need to reboot KSP for it to pick this up. Oh no. I think I need to start the name with boot. Yeah, let's do that. No, not in you. Come on. There we go. Thank you. Copy it. We're going to call it boot Deep Space One or DS1.ks. Right. Good. Okay, and back over to. There we go. Perfect. Let's save it. Let's exit and get back into the VAB. I can't remember exactly what you have to do to get it to. I may need to quit the program and reload it, but I don't think so. I think if I just jump back in to the vehicle assembly building, it'll show up now. There are a couple of other boot scripts that are sitting around in my script folder. just from when I was playing around with various things. There we go. Scriptable control system. Boot boss, boot KOS utils, boot camp, boot DS1. That's the one we want. And look at that. It takes up so little space, and we haven't had to upgrade anything. Oh, wow. Yeah, that would upgrade some stuff. But we don't need to. Huzzah. And this thing has, yeah, not a lot of power, but it's got plenty of, or well, not a lot of electric charge, but it's got plenty of Delta V. And are we missing anything on here? No, we've got all these little tiny experiments on there. All right. We should be good to go. I will see you in on the Windows side. Alrighty, post-commentary, Kevin here, and yes, you can see me switching to a small craft that we've put out on the runway, which I am pointing at the ship that we have on the launch pad in enough time for us to go ahead and let this thing go. I have gone through and added a brief delay on this ship so that I knew I had time to switch over. And I have to admit that this is not the first launch. No, in fact, we had about an hour of additional footage of going through and launching and finding where things broke and starting back up again. The first one, I believe, is where I went and decided to switch up to a heading and then forgot to go ahead and finish that up. So we had a typo in the beginning of the script, kind of the first time we put it out on the launch pad. I did record all of that, but unfortunately, I did discover after the hour and a half of debugging that I did not manage to get any audio from any of this. So rather than go ahead and, go through all of our failures and find all of the various examples and try and pretend to have initial reactions, instead we're just looking at the final launch. And of course we're seeing that the seismic scan can't be done right now. There are a couple of things that we probably didn't need to put on this craft, but you see it is actually transmitting some stuff. But yes, there were a bunch of errors, one of which was that I forgot to put a dipole antenna on the launch vehicle, which meant that this thing didn't have a connection. Of course, our reusable science module didn't really do anything to reset the experiments before running, so it would try and run the stuff, then it wouldn't be able to transmit it, and then we wouldn't get science later, which was a problem. One other thing that I encountered was that when we are transmitting data, depending on our distance from the planet, this can actually take a considerable amount of time. And right now, the transmit function on the module science experiment does not wait until everything has transmitted, but it instantly says that it no longer has any data. Figuring out how long it actually takes to transmit is stuff that we could calculate, but instead I ended up going ahead and just putting in some wait functions in the middle of that. And the rest of this was mostly just a matter of reordering certain things such that we weren't trying to transmit before the staging or waiting on the wrong elements, kind of making sure that everything goes in the right order. And there we go, we're doing another round of science. We're not getting much data, but you see it is automatically transmitting. That's one of the very nice things about this new module, which I believe was introduced in the last version of KOS. It does make it rather nice that we could theoretically send something out to Joule and not have to worry about mouse clicks, which of course when you're doing things with time acceleration and want to be able to, go ahead and get a cup of coffee while your mission is running is something that is pretty helpful. It is rather weird, though, watching a craft that is traveling kind of straight up. It is obviously nowhere near efficient. But at the same time, we can also kind of get a general sense that it's not going to crash into various objects because we can just sort of extrapolate out the direction that it's going to go. Whereas if we did put this into some sort of circular orbit and then tried to boost our orbit until we left the Kerbal system, then we could run into some minor issues. Now, if I remember correctly, we didn't end up even needing the final stage, that basically this booster alone was enough to get us outside of the sphere of influence. So this thing is really kind of overspec'd and overpowered for the very short and minor mission that we intended to do. So yeah, we see it's doing more science, which I believe means that we have left the atmosphere. We are now above 72,000 kilometers, so it's going ahead and doing only those repeatable experiments, which it can do without disrupting its science potential once we get out into the further reaches of space. But I know this has been a long episode. I felt it was kind of interesting to go through and see what the process is like of actually, trying to write up a script. Of course, the debugging step is probably even less interesting than actually writing the initial script to begin with. Things did remain, very much the same, but if you want to go ahead and take a look at the final script, it is, of course, in the GitHub repository, which is linked at the bottom of all of these videos, along with all of the scripts for all of the various episodes. But it does bring up a point of how we do have this rather big dependency for most of our scripts on various libraries, which can cause some issues when we have use cases that either expand what those libraries are doing or directly violate it. So I think we probably will take a look at tweaking at least how we're managing the library the library files in the future. I'm looking forward to the next version of KOS, which introduces some really, really big stuff, which I think will really kind of be a game changer in terms of how you can structure various code. I've been chatting with the KOS devs and trying to contribute and at least debug and test a whole bunch of that stuff. But yeah, you see, we're still firing on that single stage, which is, man, it is. I am very jealous in comparison to all of these space station launches, which have just been heck as far as trying to get reasonable payloads to low carbon orbit, because we're dealing with much heavier stuff, and of course we're dealing with our ascent profile script, which is probably due for some tweaking. We've currently got this sort of ladder approach where we say once you get to this altitude, then tilt over by this much, and alrighty, explosions, there we go. Okay, so the payload is there, and it is still firing. It's going to get its way up, continuing to push its way out, even though I believe, even if we were to cut things off now, it'd be fine. But it did turn on the antenna, and it's going ahead and transmitting that, which is great. And I believe, I think I put like a 10-second wait on it just because the problem would be that we would turn the antenna on, would transmit, would turn the antenna off. But the transmit would sometimes take more than the 1 second delay that we had on there. So it would start to transmit, and then the antenna would close down, and then the experiment would say, I don't have any more data, but we wouldn't have received it on the ground. So yes, we've gone through, we've transmitted all of that, which is great. But no, as I was saying, there are a couple of issues with our current ascent profile script, which we have been using for just about all of our missions of late, and that is that we had, say, once you get to 30,000 kilometers, then tilt over at this angle. Once you get to 40,000 kilometers, tilt over to that angle. And it does mean that for all of our various scripts, we have to go through and potentially tweak those values if our payload is particularly light, or if it's particularly heavy, or if it just does not have much steering capability, that sort of thing, then it sort of changes. But we can go ahead and warp our way out now to the edge of the sphere of influence and just wait for this thing to cross over. This is one of the really nice things that we get from Kerbal Alarm Clock, is I can just sort of click and say, go to that. And our script should wait until the sphere of influence change, and then we'll go ahead and start running its body of science experiments, which should hopefully get us at least close to being able to unlock some more stuff. And then obviously we'll want to go back and look at getting our way to the moon and collecting much more interesting and more voluminous science, lots of science, right? Which will help us, further our exploration. But we do want to go back and start tweaking some of our existing libraries. I think it'd be great to look at. A lot of times, one of the things that I've seen from other people's launch scripts is that they'll actually set up a formula based on the altitude and current lateral speed to determine the angle of ascent, which I think would be great to do, and go ahead and try and tweak that so that it works in the majority of all cases, rather than going in and manually doing all that stuff. So we could just say, go ahead and launch, and I'm not going to tell you anything else. You're just going to have to look at your own craft and figure out what your mass is, and what your lateral velocity is, and all of that sort of stuff, and then just work it out from there. The reality is the stuff that we've been launching has been relatively inefficient. We've generally required about 6,000 meters per second of delta V, between 5,000 and 6,000. Kind of tweaking that ascent profile, we can get it down. But in the reality, that's far more than we actually need to get into a legitimate orbit. And so there's definitely a lot of tweaking that could be done, and there's a lot of tweaking that we could do programmatically. One of the things that's been introduced in recent versions of KOS is the K-Universe module, which allows you to revert to launch from the script. Now, that's a little bit hacky for running in our actual missions, but if we were to, run a simulation, where we're trying to optimize various scripts, that is the sort of thing where we could go ahead and say, let's try tweaking some tuning variables to see what is the what is the value at which we can get the best fuel conservation for a particular ascent profile. And I think that'd be a fun thing to work on. Of course, we can also apply the same sort of approach to tuning PID controllers and that sort of thing, which would be great for when we get back into hover scripts and that sort of thing. But man, okay, I'm talking. Let's get ourselves up to sphere of influence of the sun, please. Yeah, this thing does warp ahead, but I think it warps with like a 2-minute margin or so. And so we're just waiting for this thing to cross that sphere of influence, at which point we should at least get some science. But yes, videos like this are kind of the example for why I tend not to why I tend to do a lot of post commentary, just because it ends up being a very long amount of time to actually get these things scripted and then of course tested and debugged and finally get legitimate footage. Which, of course, is just complicated by the fact that my screen recording software is being weird. But okay, there we go. We've got it shook, which means we have changed. And, of course, we're still locked to a heading, so we're pointed away from the sun, which is fine. And, okay, so it turned on, and it was just checking, I think, to see if we had a connection. And now it should be, there we go. Alrighty, we saw the science module open up, so it's going to go ahead and grab that science. And it's trying to do the other stuff. Of course, the atmospheric scan is not... not going to be particularly helpful now, but now it's going to go ahead and start transmitting the stuff. And yes, one of the, I think the second to last time I tried this, we got all the way out here, it started transmitting, and then the antenna closed up because it was not waiting for any period of time. So we got all the data, it collected it, it opened the antenna, started transmitting, and then it closed and lost the connection, and then the science was gone, which was aggravating. But alrighty, so yeah, we probably could also tweak this so that it didn't open up and close up for each science experiment. But remember, the idea was that if this thing were to run out of power, that it could it'd just go through and find all of the parts that still have data, turn on the antenna, and turn it off between all of those, which seems reasonable enough to me, I guess. There's less time when we're spending an awful lot of battery power. And all right, so how many more of these do you have? Okay, you're opening. Is there more? You got more? You transmitting? There you go. Yeah, we probably we could have done a lot more actual notifications so this thing could let us know where it was doing stuff, whereas for most of these I ended up having the KOS console open and just watching for various crash reports and that sort of thing. That'd be something that would be very nice to have, is some sort of try-catch mechanism, because right now if your craft fails, there's no way to catch that error and continue to do stuff. The program just terminates. And you can't get around this by putting in multiple things, but alrighty, I think yes. So now it is just waiting for a connection, but we have gotten a world first milestone thing, which has got us some additional science for getting something around the sun and transmitting science therefrom, not there to, therefrom. So that's good. We got this thing out. We scripted this thing all in one video. We debugged it a little bit off screen, but go ahead and check the repository. And I will see you next week in a much shorter KSP video. Cheers.